We serve an awesome God. An awesome God. I love him. He's been good to me. He's been good to me. Today I want to talk about God's in control. There's no one like him. He's in control of everything. Absolutely everything. Just like Brother Harold said, if God can't do it, nobody can. If he can't do it, nobody can. So you may be seated in the house of the Lord, but we're going to talk about, you know, he's totally in control. And a lot of times I think we think that he's in control. I think we say it to ourselves, he's in control. I think there's parts of us that says God is in control. But when you start whining and bickering and upset, you really don't think he's in control. Because if you thought he was in control, you'd let him have it. Would nothing phase you because you would know he's in control and he has the last word. But we say it and then we put our hands on it, or we say, God, you got this, and then he doesn't move fast enough, or he don't do it the way we think he should do it, or for some reason we think he just don't see us. He sees everybody but us. He knows everything that's going on in the whole world, but he don't know what's going on in our life. But he knows everything about everything. And he's in control of everything. And no matter if we believe him or we don't, he's still in control. And he's in control of Satan himself. He has the last word about everything. And we need to get that rooted and grounded in our heart, because he's the one that'll take you up. And he's also the one that'll bring you back down. He is in control of everything. And when we know that, we can just rest in him to know no matter what's going on in our life, he loves us and he has us. And we will go through trials and tribulations, but a lot of times it's to teach us things or to get us stronger, so that when he truly blesses us, the adversary can't come and take it from us, because we'll be rooted and grounded in him, knowing who he is. Because if you don't truly know who he is, you're going to get tricked up and you're going to lose what he's trying to bless you with. And then sometimes, too, it's not about you. It's about somebody else. It's not that he's not ready to bless you. He don't have it to bless you. He just wants somebody else to get to another level. Sometimes they need to see that God can do it. They need to see an example, because everybody don't open the Bible and everybody don't read the Bible. Sometimes we are that walking Bible for them. So they're looking at our lives, and if they can see we can pull through, then they have hope to know they can do it too. So sometimes we're just an example for someone else, not because he wants to harm us, but to help somebody else. But in either case, he's in control and he has the last word. So we're going to go over some scriptures that show how God's moved in other people's life, because remember, these scriptures are examples for us to know he's the same God. He changes not. Different times, but he's the same God. So if we we're going to start in Psalms uh, 76, 75. Psalms 75, 6 and 7. For exaltation comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but God is the judge. He puts down one and exalts another. Let's hear it again. For exaltation comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but God is the judge. He puts down one and exalts another. It is God. He's going to be the one that promotes you. He's going to be the one that takes you to the top. And you can think it's all of the education that you have or all the wisdom that you have. But even if it's education, he's the one that allowed you to get it. He's the one that allowed you to get it, because you can take 5 people and they can go to the same school and the same teacher and get the same thing. Some people will grasp hold of it and some people don't. And it's not, that they're hearing it different or whatever, but God allows us to get different things in life. But he says wisdom he'll freely give to us if we ask him for it. but he has each of us doing different things in different lives. And so if he doesn't want you to have something, you're not going to have it. I don't care, if he wants to, if he shuts a door, I don't care who you know, I don't care how much money you have, it does not matter. If that door is shut, there is no one in this entire world that can open it. If he says the door is going to be shut. But the blessed part is, if he says it's yours and it's open, nobody can shut the door. So it goes both ways. He's in control of everything, everything, the good, the bad, and everything in between. So if he's in control of everything, it would be so much better to just rest and lean on him and not put our trust in man. But a lot of times we put our trust in man thinking they're the ones that can help us out. Let me suck up to them. Let me get close to them. Let me be all that in front of them because they're the ones that's going to help me. But if God says no, it's no. I don't care who you know. I don't care what they have because God will shut a whole company down, just so you can't get in it. God will change things around that you think is so solid because you don't need God. You have it like that and wake up one morning and your whole world has shifted. One thing can go wrong in your world and just shift your entire world. One thing can go wrong in your world and shift your entire world. And it goes both ways, both ways. And you'll realize in life that the things, the older you get, you realize in life that the things that you valued so much or the things that you thought was so important is not as important as you think it was because we fight so hard to have nice homes and to get the head to be the head of the company and more income and the vacations and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's all great and wonderful. But you'll realize that if you lose someone in life, you lose someone that you loved, a child or someone that was so close to you, you realize that I'd rather have that person than all the wealth and the riches. I'd rather have that person because you could have fought so hard to get to the top of the company and become a billionaire, but you lose your children. It don't mean nothing. How much money's in that bank account? You're sitting on the top. It doesn't mean anything. Or you get to the top and you no longer have your vision. Your vision went out. You'd wish you'd have your eyes more than the money. Or you wish you have your hearing more than the money. Or your legs more than the money. So we go after things that seem to be everything that controls our attitude, that makes us hateful and deceptive, and we can't help somebody, and we're trying to use and abuse people and to get to something that doesn't really mean that much because you realize once you get it and the things that are valuable, if it was snatched from you, once you got there, it wouldn't mean anything. If some of those greater things, those free things that were freely given to us, those things that we think that are little, in reality, he's already given us some of the greatest gifts that we wake up and aren't even thankful for. Waking up with an attitude. Man, wake up mad. You wake up mad because things ain't going the way you want. Because you're analyzing where your bank account is or what somebody said to you or what somebody was supposed to do or whatever, controlling you because it meant so much. But then you realize you get a certain phone call or something comes through that meant something and a person is no longer a part of your life. You realize those things didn't mean anything. They really didn't mean anything. So we should value the things now, while we have those things and start examining ourselves and seeing what's really important, what really means something. And you'll find that, they had this thing where they were talking to all these older people that's in their way up in their 90s and stuff, that some of them were successful and had a lot going on. And they realized at the end, the only thing that meant something to them was their health, the peace of mind, and those that still had loved ones around them. All the other things, the companies and the things that they were going after that they thought meant so much, realized it really wasn't all that. It wasn't what you thought it was because a lot of times you're going after things really to just be ahead of the next person because it ain't even something that you want, but you need to get there because you need to be better than that person. You actually are in a position that you like, but you got to get ahead of the next person because you got to have a better house than them and a better car than them, and you got to take one vacation, a little bit more than them because we're always trying to compete with the next person because society has it. You have to be this, that, and that. You know, when you see the TV commercials and you see the magazines, you got to look like this and you got to have that. And everybody's trying to get like the next person. Not even that they want to be like that. Miserable your whole life trying to become something that you really don't even want, just to be pleasing or look good to the next person. You know, when we only get one life here, one life here on this earth, you know, and he says, I'll come to give you life and life more abundantly. You know, we should have joy and be able to smile and laugh and enjoy the life that he's given us. But we can't even enjoy what he's given us because we're always looking way down the road. We can't enjoy the moments that we're in. This moment means nothing because we're always looking for the next. You can't enjoy that you're here now because you're waiting to get to the next level. Only to get to the next level, then you're waiting to get to the next level. We're always looking beyond where we're at. So in reality, you miss out every moment that you've ever had. You miss all of the wonderful things that he had in place for you at each moment of your life because you're reaching for something that really didn't even matter. When you got there, you're reaching for the next things and you miss all the wonderful things. And you see it a lot in your children, you know, because they're babies one moment and it's like, oh, if I can just get some sleep, you know, especially when they're infants. All you want to do is sleep. The only thing that matters to you is sleep. You can't wait till they get to the point they sleep all night. And then they're toddlers if they just stop getting into everything. And then they're in elementary school. And then, you know, it's wow, you know, I got to keep taking them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I can't wait till they drive. Then they drive, and then you worried about, you know, what they doing. And then before you know it, they didn't got married and went on, and then you wishing they back with you because you're missing them, you know. But you never enjoy the moments that you have because the moments leave very quick. The moments leave so quickly, so quickly. And you see it, you know, as parents, you see it because it's like, where did they go? I know next month my daughter will be 40, and it's like, wow, where I remember holding her. I mean, just like it was yesterday. I mean, everything about the whole time in the hospital, I can remember it as if it just happened. So where did the days go? Where did they go? But they go by so quickly. And if you don't cherish those moments, they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone, and you're just there if you don't cherish each thing. And that's why if you can get yourself so wrapped up in God and be so thankful for what he's given you, if you stay in a praise and a thankful moment, you're thankful for everything. You're thankful when you wake up. You're thankful that the kids are running around. You're thankful for all of that because you know within your mind that it wouldn't have had to be like that, because you could have got a phone call and you don't have all the nonsense to complain about, because if they're not there, you can't complain about anything. Instead of just being appreciative with what God has given you, to be thankful what he has given you, we always can see the negative modes and we never see the positive. But you know, you can look at each situation as a certain thing. Either a good thing or negative. It's how you choose to look at life. People look at it different ways, but I look at it that if God's in control of everything, then it's all good. That it's all good. Each and every day is a good day because he created that day. He allowed me to be in this day, so it's a great day. And I know that I'm serving him, so no matter what goes on that day, it's going to be a great day. No matter if I chose to plan it like that or not, if it looks bad, then I know he's turning it around for my good because I'm rooted and grounded in him. So in anything, I'm looking towards him, and I'm thankful for each moment because I know it's a moment he created, because he's in control of that moment. It's only when you think the adversary is in control of something that you get all bent out of shape. But if you know who you serve, you know the adversary can't do anything to you unless he allows it to take place. So it always allows you to be in a praise moment so that no one can take your joy or your peace. How can you allow someone to take what God has given you, especially your joy and your peace? That's something that no one should ever take from you. No one should ever be able to take that from you because they didn't give it to you. And I can assure you the world's not giving it to you, because the world will mess you up. If you start dipping and dabbing in the world, you're going to be so miserable. So it just messes your whole day up that you just got to rewind and get by yourself and play a praise song or read the word or something. Because if you start dealing with the world, even if you're not doing what the world's doing, if you're just there long enough, you just feel like you're going to lose your mind. that you just got to get away from the things that they're doing and the things that they're saying. And it's like, how? It makes me see so often when he says we're in this world, but we're not of this world. Because so often you just feel like you're aliens and you realize, yeah, I'm truly just passing through because I know this can't be my home. I know this can't be my home. And if you're not cautious, you can think, when you have kids and grandbabies, like, Lord, you just want to be here for a long time. But there's times it's like, either way, I'm okay. Either way, because it gets so bad here and people do so many hateful things. And it's like, where's the love? And Christ is of love, and you know what he says, and you know how it could be. But as you look around, you don't see it anywhere. It's like you don't see him, his stamp on anything. You don't see it on anything. And that's why, when you go in the book of Revelations, when he comes and he says, I'm talking to the church, I'm talking to you. Because if you don't hear, who's going to hear? If you can't get it right, if we can't get it right, how's the world going to get it? And we bicker. Come to church and go home and bicker. Go home and complain. Go home looking all ugly and crazy like something's wrong with you. Everybody looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Ain't nothing wrong with me. But an attitude. But yet, we of the church. We are the church. We should at least be shining for in the house because that's the family that God created. You should at least be showing them love. That's a problem with that. That's why when he came, he said, I'm coming to talk to the church. These are all your issues that you have. Get it right. I ain't accepting anything. And we can't be playing church. And when we play church, we hurt other people, we hurt ourselves, and then we miss out all that he has for us. Because, yes, this is the evil, wicked world we're in. But we still serve a God that's in control, and he still takes care of his people. And you can still have joy and peace in this world while we're in this world if you stay connected to him, because he still takes care of his people. And he says, I've come to give you a sane mind, And so if this is what he came to give me, I don't care how crazy it gets, you can't take my mind because God's given me a sound mind. This is what he's given me. So the world might be crazy, but hey, I'm still okay. But they look at us like we crazy. Like something's wrong with us, and that's okay. Look at me any way you want to, but I know who I'm connected to. But you got to know who you're connected to. So you got to know who's in control. So when you read a scripture like this scripture is enough to say, whatever is going to take place in my life, it's going to be God that's doing it. No matter what I get out of life, it's going to be God that's going to do it for me. There's nothing in the world the world is not going to take me up or bring me down. The world is not going to do it. It is going to be God. So when you look at, and I'm going to go over some and then I'll read some, but when you look at different people in the Bible, like if you look at Abraham, and I'll read that one in Genesis, just different things, how you see how God just came through and touched different people. Genesis chapter 12, 1-3. Some I'll read and some I'll just talk about. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1-3. It says, now the Lord has said to Abram, get out of your country, from your family, and from your father's house to a land that I will show you. I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. And when you look at this scripture, God came straight to Abraham. He wasn't looking for him. He wasn't asking to go and be in control of things. He was just doing him. He was doing him, and God went to him and told him, I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bless you, because God can go to anybody he wants to go to, whenever he wants to go to, and he knows what's inside of people, even though the world don't know inside, because people look at outward appearance, they got this, and that, but God goes accordingly to the heart, so he knows what a lot of us don't know. And so he goes to him because he's going to bless him. Just because he's God, because he says, I'm the one that takes you up. I'm the one that brings you down. I'll go to whoever I choose to go to. I'll bless whoever I choose to bless. And then when he tells him, he says not only he goes to him and tells him he's going to bless him. And when you read all the story, you realize he was blessed. But he tells him he's going to bless you. And he said, anybody else that'll bless you, I'm going to bless them. If they're good to you, I'm going to bless them. But let somebody come against you. Let somebody try to hurt you, I'm going to curse them. Because when God's going to do something in your life, nobody better think about touching you. Once he says, this is what I'm going to do to you, no one can do anything to you. They think they can. They think they can talk about you and come against you and say things about you and try to do things that you can fall. And sometimes it looks like you might even fail. But when God says you're going up, you're going up. No one can stop that. And the thing about it is, there's nothing you have to do to get to it, because Abraham did not seek that. He came and he told him that. And a lot of times what will happen to people, and you got to be real cautious of that, a lot of time God will give you a vision or he'll give you a dream and he will tell you what he has for you. And normally when he does that, a lot of times it's down the road. It don't have to be, but a lot of times it's something that he's giving you a glimpse inside of your future. And a lot of times he's doing that just to give you hope to hold on to. He's letting you know, okay, it may look a little dim and you seem broken. It seems like nobody's in your corner, but I see you, I know you, and I love you, and let me show you what I got for you. And he gives you a glimpse of something that don't even make sense, because in your natural mind, there's no income that says I can accomplish what he shows you. In your natural mind, there's not enough people around that can actually help you to get there. In yourself, you know there's no way you could get there unless God takes you there. But that's how God wants it to be. So he just gives you a glimpse of something that doesn't make sense. But when you know who you serve and you can hear him and you know when he shows you things is of him, you hold on to it. But the thing about it, when he does that for us, a lot of times we think he needs help to get us to where we're going. So now he done showed you something that you never even thought you could have accomplished it. But now that you see it, you got to think, now how am I going to get this? Okay, I need 2 more jobs. I need to get to know them because they know how to do this. And you start trying to write down how to accomplish what he told you you can have, when in reality, it's him that's doing it. He said, I didn't show you it. So because I needed your help to accomplish it. I only showed you it so you could hold on and know that I love you. I never needed you to do anything to get to it. I needed you to remain faithful in me. I needed you to keep doing what you were doing when I called you in the first place, seeking me out, praying to be, being loving, being kind, being the person that I've called you to be, because it's me that's going to do it. But we think a lot of times when he shows us something, we have to do it. Now, true, faith without works is dead. That is so true. So, you can't just sit on the couch, although you could do that, because God has blessed me a lot of times because I didn't want to do a lot of things he wanted me to do, and he just kept opening doors. It's like, oh, you're going through it if you want to go through it or not. So he can accomplish it without you. But we know if there's things that we can do, let's do, because even with Abraham, he tells him to get up and leave. So he had to get up and leave. He couldn't stay there. He did have to start walking. But he doesn't need you to do those major things that you think you need to do. He's just showing you what he has for you. And if we put our hands on it, we mess up. And we know that again with Abraham and Sarah, because then again, he told them, I'm going to bless you with the child. Now, it's because he's not doing it. Keep in mind, they're old at this point anyways. Why would you even think you're going to have a child? At this point, you would have thought it left your mind, which it did leave their mind, because she started laughing when he tells her you're going to have a child. But now that you heard you're going to have one, now you think you got to help him to get you the child. So now you got to get your maid to sleep with your husband because he says you're going to have a child. If your hand wasn't on it at first, don't try to put your hands on it after he tells you something. Leave it like it was. Let God do it on his time, how he wants to do it. Keep your hands off of it, because when we put our hands on anything that God already has planned out, we just going to mess it up. We just going to mess it up. You just do what you can do, making sure that you're faithful and you're honest. You're walking in integrity. You're showing everybody love. You're walking in forgiveness. You're walking in all those things that are of him. So that when people look at you, you're looking like Christ. And if you're doing that, he can move in your life like he wants to. He does not need us to do things in ourselves once he tells us. He's just telling you to give you something to hold on to. I still see what you're doing. I know what you want. I know what people are doing to you. I know what they've done to you. I know you've been used and abused, but it's okay. You're still mine, and I still love you. Keep being kind. Keep being forgiving. Don't be, trying to come against them. Don't act hateful and ugly because they're acting hateful and ugly, because I have something for you. You stay who you are. You don't want to change when people are acting up, because then that gets you out of the will of him. And the reason he's blessing you, because you are faithful and you're walking in the right way. And he wants to bless you, but he doesn't need your hands to do it. Stay the way you are. When he went to Abraham, he just said, I'm going to bless you. That's all he said. He didn't, Abraham wasn't looking, let me see how I can get a blessing. Because remember, blessings chase you down. They're looking for you. The blessing is looking for you. You're not supposed to be looking for the blessing. The blessing's looking for you. The blessing's coming after you, because that's what the word says. So it comes, he tells him he's going to bless him, and he was true to his word. Another person, again, is Moses. It's the same thing. Moses wasn't looking for anything, but the burning bush was there because God wanted him. He'll just come to you from nowhere. And it can be in the morning or in the afternoon, the evening. It can be when you're on vacation, when you're home. You can be any place. He doesn't need you to just bless you. He'll just come to you. And he'll come to you in a dream. He'll come to you in a vision. He can come to you both ways. I've seen both. He's come to me in dreams, and it's exactly as he says. He's come to me in visions. That just like I see you, I've seen the visions that he showed me. And when he's coming to you, they're exactly as he says. Exactly. Because he knows what's taking place in your life. Because remember, he said he knew you before you were even formed. You don't know yourself. You're trying to figure yourself out. We don't even know all the gifts and talents that he has inside of us. Because sometimes he just shows us bits and pieces. We get older and like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. Things we didn't know ourselves. But he knows exactly what we're capable of. Again, why a lot of times when he tells you to do something, we get fearful, because in ourselves it's like, I'm scared, God, I can't do it. I'm not capable of doing that. And God said, I created you. I know you. You can do this. And we know that with the Moses thing. But he knows what he has planned for you. So if you just let him have his way, it's always going to work out good. And, even when we put ourselves, whenever they put their self in things, it always got a little bit tricky. Because even with Abraham, he can't speak. He's stuttering. He don't want to do it. He wants his brother to do it. And, God finally lets his brother speak for him. But then we know when Abraham goes up on the mountain, his brother's down there making a calf of gold. Because it wasn't supposed to be the brother that had his hands on it. It was always supposed to be just Abraham. But we feel we can't do a lot of things. So it said, just let me do it this way, or just let me do it that way. If God's telling you to do something, he knows you're capable of doing it. It doesn't matter if anybody doesn't believe in you. You need to know, if you've heard God say it, step out and do it. Because he's going to be the one that's doing it anyways. It's not going to be you. It's going to be him. These great and major things happen only because of God. Whenever major things took place with anybody in the Bible, when the sea opened up and all that was God. He may call you to do something, but the miracles are going to have to come with him. Once you get there by the sea, you're still man, you're still human. If God doesn't do a miracle in your life, you're still not going to accomplish what he wants you to do. It has to be him doing it from the beginning all the way up to the end. You have to let him have his way, because he's saying, it's me doing it. And even when he tells them to go and set his people free, look at all the miracles that took place for it to happen, from the hail falling to the water turning to blood, to everything that took place, the locusts, the flies, frogs, all of that was God doing it. And he done that so people could see it's me. Because in reality, when you read the story, and even when Pharaoh was coming against him, and he kept saying, I'm not letting him go. But even in that, God hardened his heart. Even in that, God was the one that hardened his heart, because he wanted everybody to see, when it's all said and done, I am God. And a lot of times, if you don't see something or go through something, you think it was your wisdom that accomplished it. But when something that happens so crazy and far-fetched, and people say, how did you get there? You say, I don't know. It was just God. I can't even tell you, because I know in myself I could have never accomplished this. I know in myself I should not be sitting on top of this hill, but God, because you won't know yourself how you've got there, because God does it different ways. Because even there with Pharaoh, when he hardened his heart, and Pharaoh was saying all this and that, like, I'm not letting them go, I'm not letting go. And then God tells him, he says, if I wanted to, I could have just wiped all of your people out. I could have destroyed you just like this. I didn't have to send the frogs. I didn't have to send blood. I didn't have to do any of that. I didn't have to kill your firstborn. I could have just destroyed each and every one of you, and took my people out of there if I wanted to. I was God. We're no match for God. And sometimes we come up to guys like, I ain't doing that. I'm not going to do this. Hearing a word from God and thinking we're going to have a conversation with God. I ain't doing it that way. I'm not doing this, God. But if he wanted to make you do it, you could do it. You need to know he is in control of you. He can shut you down. You can say what you are and are not going to do and wake up paralyzed from your neck down. Can't move. Because you never know what's going to take place in your life. Just because you got all this mouth now and you can do all this now, you don't know what's going to happen a second from now. People wake up and their mind is gone. Went to bed one way and woke up another way. We don't know what's going to happen. It's best to just bow down before God and say, have your way. Yes and amen. Whatever you want, let me do it. Because he says this, to Pharaoh, he said, if I wanted to, I could have just wiped you all out. But that's not what I wanted to do. I did, yes, want my people to be free, but I also want you to know that I'm God. I want you to know, and I want them to know. So when I take them, they know who I am, what I can do. Now, of course, we know they forgot about what he could do, and they didn't forget, but that's us in ourselves. God will show us a miracle, something that only he could do. But give it a year, sometimes a couple months, we get back to our old ways. Someone's sick. Someone, you don't even know if they're going to make it. And you're so thankful, and you fast, and you pray, and you had everybody else praying. But then once they're healed and moving around, a week or two later, you're back in your old ways doing the same ugly things you did because you forget that God came through. But you want to stop doing that because we serve a God, again, that takes you up and brings you back down. And again, we know that was Saul. Same thing. Brought him up, nobody and nothing, running and hiding. He didn't even want to be king. He didn't want nobody looking, and they had to find him. He's hiding behind the crates, scared. He didn't think he was worthy to be called to be a king. Because why? He was a nothing and a nobody. He was just a regular man. God just calls who he chooses to do what he wants to do. He chose him. He didn't feel worthy of it. But then when he gets called, now his head's big. Now he's making statues of himself. Now he's acting up. Now his jealousy done clicked in. Now he's trying to kill people for no reason. Because now he's trying to keep a position that he never put himself in. But now you got to be ugly to everybody else to keep something that you would have never had in the first place if God didn't give it to you. So, but now your compassion is gone. You don't have love no more because you know within yourself, I'm all this. But you're not all that. You only made it to the top because God took you there. But you're taking your own credit. You're thinking because I know more, because I had 2 more years of college, because I knew this person, because this, that, whatever the reason. But in reality, you only got there because God allowed you to get there. Because he says, I'm the one to take you up. So you would have never got up if God didn't let you get there in the first place. And then when he takes him up and his head gets big and he starts acting ugly, he loses what God gave him. Because God said, I'll take you up and I'll bring you back down. And then he brings him back down. He takes the anointing off of him. He gives it to David. He no longer has it. It's gone. Because just like he brought you up, he can bring you back down. You can have a successful company and you start acting up and then you went out of business. Because it's not just getting to the top. Can you get there and you stay there? But if you get there and it becomes about you, God can allow you to come back down. Don't ever forget who's in control. When you forget who's in control, just as quick as you went up, as quick as you can come down. And so, when you see these different scriptures and these different things, you say that God was in control of all of their lives. And one of the scriptures that I really like is when you go in the book of Daniel, and I'll read a little bit about that, was King Nebuchadnezzar. He was really one that really, where you really see how God just moved all in the picture. Because it's sometimes when you look at life, once you really see the whole picture plays out in different things, you see that God was back there in each puzzle all around. When you see it at the end, it's like you could see God's hand on the whole picture, when things get accomplished, like, this was God because he did this, he did that. He had people at certain places at certain times. Everything just lines up so nice that you don't see it when you're walking in it, but once it's accomplished, she's like, wow, God's hand was all over this. This was nothing but God. And you see that, when you look at King Nebuchadnezzar, he was a king that was wealthy and had it all going on. He had everything that was going on. And then he has this dream that kind of has his mind all fragile. He doesn't really know what's going on. So he's looking around trying to find somebody to tell him the dream. So he's asking, all of his, all the people that he had, astrologers and all the people that had wisdom that per se look into the future. He wanted them to tell him his dream. And they come up and they said, okay, tell us the dream and we'll give you the interpretation. And he says, no, tell me the dream and the interpretation. And they're like, who can tell you a dream? You tell us the dream and we'll give you the interpretation. And he's like, no, because he didn't want them playing with him. He said, if you can interpret it, then you can tell me the dream. If you're basically all that, then tell me both. And if you don't, I'm killing all of you that act like you got wisdom. Every person there, which that would have included Daniel as well. Daniel would have been one of them. So Daniel goes to his God and he says, interpret this dream for me. And he interprets and he tells them, what's going on. And then he goes back and he tells King Nebuchadnezzar, and this is all in the book of Daniel, and he tells King Nebuchadnezzar what his dream was. And so Nebuchadnezzar is real happy about that, and he exalts Daniel, and he's all this and that. But as time goes on, again, he forgets about the God, because he's even saying, this is the God we're going to serve, because he believes in Daniel's God, because now Daniel then told him something that nobody else could tell him. And Daniel said, it's not me. Don't give me credit. He says, I only know this because my God told me this. He doesn't take any credit, because remember, anything that goes on in your life, it should be pointed back to God. Anything that amazing takes place in your life, when people are uplifting, you're like, hey, it's not me. It is God. God should get the glory out of everything. If you're getting glory for things, you need to step back and say, wait a minute, is God up in this? Because God should be the one that's getting the glory. They shouldn't be seeing you. They should be wanting to draw closer to God. It's like, I want to serve that God that you're serving. If he's doing all that in your life, what do I do to get lined up with him? What can I do? And then that's when you bring them to salvation and let them know what they need to do. Because all you got to do is accept him into your heart, and he'll take it from there. But if they're uplifting you and you're just, oh, thank you and this and that, you're getting the credit for something. And you should never get the credit for it, because if it wasn't for God, you couldn't have accomplished it in the first place. So when he's trying to give Daniel the credit, Daniel's like, no, wait a minute. I couldn't have told you nothing. There is no way I could have told you your dream unless God gave it to me. So he gives that, right back to him. He gives all that credit back to him. And then for that moment, he's giving God, his God, the praise and glory and honor and all this and that. But when you're going down to, then you keep reading and you go down to chapter 3, it says Nebuchadnezzar, the first thing, Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image of gold. So he's lifting Daniel up. He's believing in Daniel's God in chapter 2. But when you get over to chapter 3, he forgot about it. He forgot that this person here, God gave him something that he could read his dream. How can you read somebody's dream? How can I tell you what you dreamt unless God gives it to me? So that in itself was like, wow, I'd want to do this within myself. But he forgets, and in chapter 3, he goes on, and now he's making an idol of himself. And when he makes the idol of himself, he wants everybody bowing down, worshiping this idol. Everybody. And everybody's doing it except Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because they're serving the same God that Daniel's serving. And there's no way. There is no way. And then when you read a little bit, we'll go up to, chapter 3, we'll go at the end of 15, it says, and who is the God who will deliver you from my hands? He's telling, because Shadrach, Meshach said, they're saying, Abednego, there's like, we are not bowing down to your God. And so then he asks, he gives them a chance. He says, okay, we're going to do this again. We're going to play all this music. And if you don't bow down, he says, who will be the God that's going to stop me from throwing you in the fire? Because he said, if you don't bow down to this God, you are getting thrown into fire. But the chapter before, he's saying, let's worship this God because he interpreted my dream. Now, this one, he's saying, who's a God that's going to help you? Forgot so quickly, there is a God that can come through. And so he's saying, who is the God who will deliver you from my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we have no need to answer you in this matter. If that is the case, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. He will deliver us from your hands, O king. But if not, let it be known to you, O king, that we do not serve your gods, nor will we worship the goat image which you have set up. They're like, basically, my God can do this, but if he does or if he don't, I'm not bowing down to your God. Because they knew who they served. They knew who they served. Now, he forgot who they served, even though Daniel let him know, this is what my God can do. He can let me read your dreams. But he forgot so quick. And so what does he do? He throws them. He has them thrown into fire. All of them. And then when you go to verse 25, it says, look, he answered, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they are not hurt. And the form of the fourth is like the Son of God. So he didn't throw them into the fire. And then he's looking again. Oh, well, I guess that is the rule. God again. I forgot about him again, because now they're coming out. They're seeing there's 4 people in there walking around. And then, when you go over to 29, because now he didn't see this again, it says, therefore I will make a decree. Now this is Nebuchadnezzar again. Therefore I will make a decree that any people, nation, or language which speaks anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses shall be made of heap, because there is no other God who can deliver like this. So now he back on board with the God again. He remembers, it's their God again. But then when you keep going on, he has another dream. He has another dream. And when he has this dream in chapter, he's telling again, he's like, I have this dream and it's messing with me. What is this dream about? So he asks again all the different people, the astrologers and all the different people that can supposedly be able to read dreams. You would have thought he would have went straight to Daniel, being that Daniel was the one that gave you the first dream. But he asks everybody else, and then he goes to Daniel. When you read it says, and then he goes back to Daniel, goes to him last, and Daniel tells him about his dream, because he's saying he had this strange dream and everything. So when you go on to verse 10, chapter 4:10, it says, this was the vision of my head while in bed. Now this is Nebuchadnezzar telling him about the dream. I was looking, and behold, a tree in the midst of the earth, and its height was great. The tree grew and became strong. Its height reached to the heavens, and it could be seen to the ends of the earth. Its leaves were lovely, its fruit abundant, and it was food for all. The beasts of the field found shade under it. The birds in the heavens dwell in the branches, and all the flesh was fed from it. I saw in a vision of my head while in my bed, there was a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven. He cried aloud and said this, chop down the tree, cut off the branches, strip off the leaves, scatter the fruit, let the beasts get out from under it, the birds from under its branches. Nevertheless, leave the stump and roots on the earth, bound with the band of iron and brine. In the tender of the grass in the field, let it be wet with dew of heaven, and let him gaze with the beasts of the grass of the earth. Let his heart be changed from that of man. Let him be given the heart of beast, and let 7 times pass over him. This decision is by the decree of the watchers, and the sentence by the word of the Holy One, in order that the living may know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men. Give it to whomever he will, and sets over it the lowest of men. So he is telling him all of this in this dream. And then when you go down to verse 20, Daniel starts telling him a little bit about it. He says, the tree that you saw, which grew and became strong, whose height reached to the heavens, and which could be seen by all the earth, whose leaves were lovely, and its fruit abundant, in which was food for all, under which the beasts of the field dwelt, and those branches the birds of the heaven had their home. It is you, O King. He's saying what you've seen, God is talking about you, because he was such a mighty king that everything was flourishing outside the house, inside the house. For the birds was on the branches, you know, everything was just it. He was that king that had everything going on. But in the dream, what God was telling him, he says, I'm cutting you down. I am cutting you down and I'm removing everything. He said, but I'm going to leave the stump. And the reason that he's leaving the stump, because the stump, all the roots and stuff is growing underneath, meaning that it could grow again. But God, if he wanted to, he could have removed the whole thing from it like he did from Saul. He just removed it from Saul. But with him, he says, I'm cutting everything down, but I'm going to leave the stump until you realize who is in control of everything. And then when you go to verse 26, it says, and as much as they gave the command to leave the stump and root of the tree, your kingdom shall be assumed to you after you come to know that heaven rules. Therefore, O king, let my advice be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by being righteous and your iniquity by showing mercy to the poor. Perhaps, they may be lengthening of your prosperity. So he's telling him, this is what your dream says. He says, but he's leaving the stump there. He said, my advice to you is you need to get out of your wicked ways. You need to start helping people more. You need to start helping the poor and doing a little bit more. Maybe God will, take some of this from you. And so 28 says, all this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar at the end of the 12 months, because and I'm just skipping through it, but he told him in that dream he's going to have 12 months. Basically, he had some time to get things right. He had a warning, and God will give you warnings sometimes in dreams, vision, through people, because he does have grace and mercy and he does love us, but it's up to us whether or not we choose to change or stay the way we are. So he was telling him, you basically got 12 months. So 28, all that came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, he was walking about the royal palace of Babylon. The king spoke, saying, it is not the great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty. While the words was still in the king's mouth, a voice fell from heaven. King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you, and shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives to it whomever he chooses. So he's telling him, but he already gave him a warning. Basically, you're going to lose your mind, and you're going to be out there in the field acting like the beast, and people lose their mind in seconds. And he says it's going to be 7 years it's going to pass. He said, until you realize you didn't get any of this without me. You're going to realize who's in control. And so 33 says, that very hour the word was fulfilled concerning Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from men and ate grass like oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heaven till his hair had grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird claws. And at the end of the time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. And I blessed the Most High and praised and honored him who lives forever. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. He does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. No one can restrain his hands or say to him, what have you done? At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. My counselors and my noble restored it to me. I was restored to my kingdom, and the excellent majesty was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt and honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth, and his ways justice, and those who walks in pride he is able to put down. So he had everything, and God kept giving him glimpses, letting him know, it's me, it's me. And he kept overlooking it. God blessed him, and he overlooked it, and God said, okay, you're going to have 7 years. You're going to be walking in that field like an animal. So he went crazy for 7 years. It says his nails got like bird claws, hair grew, the dew. He's out there just living in the field with the animals. And then he looked up after the 7 years, and he realized, I was absolutely nothing without God. And when he gave God his praise and his glory and his honor, God restored it back to him. But he always said in the beginning, I'm going to give it back, because he cut him down as a stump. But the thing about God, he doesn't have to do that. With Saul, he just removed everything. So you don't want him to take you to the top and then forget you got there because of him. Or even on your way to the top and thinking it's you that's getting there, and not giving God no praise, no glory, no honor within the midst of it. Because he says, like we read in the very first scripture, I'm the one that'll take you up, and I'm the one to bring you back down. I'm in control of everything. Everything I'm in control, the good, the bad, in between. I'm in control of the sun and the rain. You know, I'm in control when you have the perfect days, and I'm in control when the hail comes. You know, I'm in control of the ocean, the winds, the everything. He's in control of everything on this earth, dirt, sand, mountains, everything. He's in control of it, but yet we think if he's given us a little bit of wisdom, we know a little bit of something. And it's about us. And we forget to lift up the one who's taken us to the top, thinking it's me that got me there. And he's saying it's a day and time we better know who's in control. You better know who's in control, because the same God that can take you up is that same God that can bring you down. That same God that can heal you when the doctor says you have this, and that, and there's no cure for you. And then you go back and they say, we don't see it no more, you're okay. That's the same God that can allow the adversary to come on you and have something come on you. You're healthy today, then you go to the hospital and you hear this and that. You look good, you feel good, working out every day. Now you go for just a report and they saying you got something. That's the same God that can allow the adversary to mess with you, because you've separated yourself from God. So we have that same God that can take you up, and that same God that can bring you down. And a lot of times we just look at the God of blessings, but we also serve a God of wrath. And we serve a God that always deserves our praise. Not just when you feel like praising him, not when you just feel like worshiping him. You can't just bring him in when you want to bring him in and then just let him go and think I'll do what I want when I want to do what I want, because God is in control of what you think and what you say. And if he chooses to come in and take you down, he can do that. You think you're living large and you got it all. I ain't got to help nobody because I've worked this hard for this, and I'm this, and I got the family, and I got this. God can strip your family in one day. You can wake up and be by yourself, because that's the God that we serve. So we got to know who we're serving. No, it's a God that brings up and a God that brings out. Meaning that if you're up or down, you're still praising him. No matter where you're at, in the midst of the road, you're still praising him, because he deserves to have praise no matter where you're at. So you got to know who's in control of your life. The adversary is in control of nothing unless he allows him to have control. He lets him know how far he can go. And in the end, he's saying he's done with him. But you have to know, if you're serving him, then serve him. If he's God, let him be God. If he's all that, then let him be all that. You can't choose what he can and cannot be. He has the last say. And if you want everything or anything from him, then you walk with him no matter what it looks like. You praise him no matter what it looks like, because you say to yourself, my God is in control. I don't care what it looks like. My God is in control. I don't care what you say. My God is in control. It don't matter what it seems like. My God is in control. So you don't try to please man. It don't matter what man thinks of you. Man is not in control of you. God is in control of you. No company's in control of you. God is in control of you. and he sees all and he knows all. And that, like I said, if he opens that door, he'll remove bosses from there. He'll remove things so you can be where you need to be. They think they're in control of you, and God said, keep on, because remember, he has grace. So even though it looks like he's not doing anything for you, just like he loves you, he loves them. So just like he's trying to work it out for you, he's trying to let them see, now you better stop doing what you're doing. You better let them go. You better let them go. They're hearing things they may not be telling you. They're having dreams. They're having things they need to treat you right. But when they keep doing wrong, before you know it, you don't see them no more, because God didn't remove them. But you don't have to worry about them, because if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. God is in control of you and them. He's in control of the good and the bad. He is in control of everything. So we need to know who he is, and we need to get to a point in our life this day and this time that we're giving him all praise, because the ball is rolling. We're in our last days, and things are happening, and you're either going to be rooted and grounded in him and getting all that he has for you, or you're going to be half-stepping and you're going to have things just removed from you where you thought you were okay all these years in your life, and you're going to look, you ain't going to have nothing, because it's going to be stripped from you. Or you're going to thought, it's too late, I'm too old, I could never get there. And before you know, doors open up that you never thought that was even there, because God is moving both ways. You're holding on to him, doors are open. You're not holding on to him, things are shutting down. So you need to know who's in control, giving it all to him, and just letting him have his way. Praise God.